Welcome to this episode of 3 by 3, where our guest gives us the option to ask him 3 questions or give us 3 minutes of his time. In this episode, we're talking with Kyle Shields, who is a Softgoods Designer with Ping, one of the greatest golf club manufacturers in the world of all time. Thanks for making time for us today, Kyle, and how are things in Phoenix?
Hey, Chad. It's sunny and it's warm here. No surprise.
I could imagine, man. It's great to connect with you. I mean, what a cool position that you're in, designing soft goods at Ping. How fun, and what a backstory there is behind it. So how did you, I mean, Ping could not have been your first job, but how did you come up with the idea to pursue a career in industrial design? Because that's your training, right? Is in an industrial design program, and then that led to being a soft goods designer with Ping.
Yeah. I feel like my journey in industrial design it's like a long arc, I would say. I mean, I could take it all the way back to like growing up as a kid. I grew up in like rural Vermont, and living that life of like being in just the middle of nowhere and kind of getting to build and make a lot of things without a lot of adult supervision was kind of the impetus for designing things and being interested in how things work. Like building forks, taking apart your bike and putting it back together just because like you had some free time. That was kind of like what life was like for us, living on a dirt road. And so like we grew up out in the woods. We grew up hunting. We grew up skiing. Like just being very outdoorsy. That inspired me to just love the gear and the stuff that comes along with that. So that's where like I started my love of like the stuff, and that led to like, how is this stuff made? Like I remember we would get, this is kind of crazy, but like we'd get catalogs in the mail. Like I remember we got the Cabela's catalog back in the day when it was like 3-inch thick catalog, and I remember just being so enamored by the variety of things you could use in nature, out in the woods, right? Like whether it's boots or it's like a jacket with this special fill, like what is this stuff they put in it? So fast forward, that was kind of like my base. And then fast forward to kind of like me in my 20s. I didn't go to college right after high school. I was kind of not sure what I wanted to do. I did a bit of traveling around the country, which just I think fueled my love for the outdoors and everything. I was working at a gear shop in Western Michigan and loved it. It was like a pretty high-end shop. Got the nice thing about that was when we would get new stuff in, I was always the first person to like get to touch it and look at it. And harkening back to like opening up the catalog coming in the mail in Vermont, I was like, this is so cool. Like,
it's the same, only it's a box in the retail store you work at.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, well, why is this shoe or why is this backpack like so much more special than the ones that we have on the wall? Oh, it's because like the designers thought that this feature would be, interesting to add, or like this was a performance upgrade. They added this innovation. I love that. I was like, this is so cool. But I ended up thinking to myself, like, how cool would it be if I could actually go one step further and like help design this stuff? Like, what's holding me back from like that? And it wasn't until I met my wife. Obviously, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend, but she worked at a design and development firm, and she was the one that kind of introduced me to this idea of like an industrial designer. So this is a person that, works with teams to help guide the process of like what the product will become. So like listening to what the user needs, listening to what the company needs, and then trying to like design a product that satisfies both camps. And I was like, that's really sweet. And those people, they don't just get to like come up with the idea, they get to help like make it and prototype it. And I was like, at that point I was hooked. I was like, that's what I want to do. So I think a couple years went by and we had been newly married, and my wife had the opportunity to work in a different city. And then that city had a school that had an industrial design program. I ended up going to school later in my life, my late 20s, and I attended Western Michigan University. They had a fairly new industrial design program. And so I was able to hop into that and got my degree a few years ago. And yeah, started down this path of what it means to be an industrial designer. And I'll be honest, it looks a lot different than I maybe thought it would look, right? Like you have this sort of, and school does this too, and for good reasons. They kind of like create this dream scenario where like you'll be in this really cool environment and like always all your ideas get accepted and like become products. And obviously that's not real life, but I will say like going back to school as an adult was a really cool experience just because I was able to take full advantage of what that like incubator is.
Right.
You
Makes
know,
sense.
I
Yeah.
didn't have the inhibition of being like, in my just graduated high school age and not wanting to like jump fully in. I was all in on everything. Like, let's go. And
Yeah. You
that
had
was
very specific intent of why you were there. And you knew you wanted to be there, and so you got a lot out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I had kind of taught myself one of the things that I had kept reminding myself was that like I'm already an industrial designer. I just have to go through this process so that I can prove to people that that is what I am.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know. It's a little mental game I had,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's
That's
how. That's like a little bit of like how I got into the process of it. And like I'm sure as most people know, you get that degree, you walk across the stage, and then that's kind of like the starting point. That's what it feels like.
totally. So how'd you go from student to professional? What was the first job out of school?
Yeah. Shortly after I graduated, my wife and I had the opportunity to move out of West Michigan to Seattle, Washington. And so we moved out there. I didn't have a job lined up at the time. My wife was able to work remote. And so we just kind of took the plunge. We packed up our stuff, our dogs, and we just headed for the West Coast because we kind of knew that that's where we wanted to be. And I ended up getting a job with a company that helped make iPad and laptop cases for computers in like the K through 12 space. So that was maybe not what I had initially intended, but it was a cool experience because as a designer, you're designing for a very like specific purpose, and kids are brutal on technology. Like if you give a fifth grader a computer, like check back in a month, and that thing is going to be absolutely beaten. So
Yeah,
like
keys are falling off the keyboard and all types of stuff.
yeah, like anything they can pick at, like they're just constantly like trying to like pick it off. And so, the products we made really had to be well thought out and durable. So that gave me good exposure to like a very designing for like a niche market, as well as, what it looks like to have products made overseas. And that the process of making something overseas and then trying to have it made in the United States was really cool. I'm obsessed with that. So it was a really good opportunity for me to work in that environment. So that was my first position kind of out of school, and then being able to do that in Seattle was really awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really cool. And then so you went from Seattle somehow. You went so you went from Seattle, and then now you're in Arizona working for Ping, like a premier name in the golf game.
sure.
I mean, my favorite hard goods manufacturer. Seattle to Phoenix, Arizona, to work for like an iconic name is not an easy thing to have happen. So how'd you get from making like carrying cases for kids to working for Ping?
Yeah, I the job in Seattle was kind of cut short abruptly. Um,
That sounds
that company decided that they were going to move their offices from Seattle elsewhere, and so I was unfortunately on the chopping block. Interestingly enough, like my last day on the job was 2 days before my son was born.
fun.
Yeah, so it was kind of a crazy time. I mean, I knew that that was going to be my last day, so it wasn't like I got laid off. My wife and I decided we would take some time to just like be together as a family in those first early months of having a child, and we were able to do that. Washington has great benefits, so we were able to take that time. But then sometime like mid 2024, I just got back in the game of looking for positions. And obviously, as most industrial designers know, getting your portfolio together is like the biggest sometimes hurdle, but it's also the ticket to getting a position anywhere. So yeah, it took a lot of time to like be intentional and make the portfolio look good. But also knew that like I didn't want to be in I didn't want to design in the tech space. Seattle's huge in tech, and that's what a lot of the design jobs are in Seattle. But there's also a big heritage of outdoor design and outdoor gear design in Seattle too. So I really wanted to, like, my dream was to get a job with outdoor research or Filson or whoever, right? Like I was like, that's awesome. They're right here in the city. Like, let's go. But those positions are hard to come by. They're far and few between. So between the massive amount of applicants that apply to these positions and the scarcity of them, I think it was just a numbers game. It was hard to stand out. So that ended up kicking off a season of like a lot of rejection and silence when it came to applying for jobs. So there's a lot of weird things, in my opinion, going on with jobs where, like, some of the jobs you see posted, like, they're not even real. They're getting swamped. You know, you'll see like hundreds of people are applying for these positions, and I was sort of at a point after 3 or 4 months of searching and just not getting anywhere. I was really getting frustrated. I was like, what are we doing? What am I doing? Right? This is crazy. We moved out to Seattle. I don't have a job. We have a child. The desperation started feeling real, I would say. So I ended up randomly messaging a guy who lived in town, who was a bags and accessories designer at Filson, right? Oh. So he had the job that I would have loved to have. And I kind of like spied on him a little bit, and spied might be the wrong word, but like I saw his resume and I thought to myself,
it's a good strategy, man. Like yeah. If you, talking to your peer or somebody who you aspire to be peers with, right? It actually works because it's like a very boots on the ground. How did you do it? Like, how I want to do the same thing. What'd you do? And if you got somebody willing to talk to you, it's going to make a difference. I mean, that's a strategic decision and a good one.
Yeah. And you know, I reached out to him, and man, bless this guy. He didn't just like send me a message back. He said, like, let's meet for coffee. And so I sat down with him for probably an hour and a half. And he graciously gave me his time, and we kind of just talked through where I was at, where he was at before his position, and kind of how he got there. And I got some really good insight, because one of the things I had made an assumption that in order to get into the outdoor industry, the on-ramp is kind of through like apparel design or like technical design. And I would say he kind of confirmed what I was thinking. But he had some great feedback in that if you're not already doing that thing, then you should start. So start making stuff, get a sewing machine, like start be making yourself familiar with that process. The strategy that him and I kind of came up with was like, maybe just make some stuff, make it under like a brand that maybe isn't real, but is your side project for building up stuff. And I did exactly that. In a week, I had a sewing machine. I was, cursing at the sewing machine because it's not an easy, like the learning curve of the sewing machine is pretty high. But a little story. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before. When I was in school, I think my second year of design school, we had this project where we had to make a shop apron, but the theme or like the inspiration of the apron, we didn't get to choose. We had to pull it out of a hat. So
fun.
Yeah, so I was like really excited for this. I didn't have any experience with sewing or like any sort of soft goods manufacturer. I pulled out the theme for the hat, for the apron, and it was postmodernism. So I had to make a shop apron that was like this postmodern inspired thing. And I don't know if if you're familiar with postmodern design, it's a little wacky. It's like a lot of bright colors. It's not sleek. It's not necessarily what you see in trends. It's really random.
It's stuff that doesn't fit together.
It doesn't fit together. It's very weird. And I think it's obviously got a place, but I ended up making this apron that was really funky, had like different shapes, a lot of stripes and dots and like kind of comic booky. Yeah. Anyway, I hated it. I hated the project. I hated the result of it. And I put it in a box and I didn't look at it for a year or two. Yeah. And in my meeting with this other designer, I told that story, and he's like, pull that out and put it in your portfolio.
Oh,
yeah. It's like, that's crazy. And I don't want to do that. But I ended up doing it and kind of telling the story like I just told you. Like I had to make this thing that I didn't want to, that I didn't like, but ended up having to make. And I think that spoke volumes to my potential, my future employers at Ping. That was like my first kind of soft goods project, and then I just kept making things, little pouches, little like hip bags for mountain biking. I just started making randoms, and all the while still searching for roles. And oddly enough, all of those roles I was looking for were in like the Pacific Northwest. But I was looking through Malachi and found this soft goods industrial designer job at Ping, and it was the only place I had seen that position posted. And I was like, okay, that's random. So I kind of like, I mentioned something to my wife. I was like, hey, I'm going to apply to this job. It's in Phoenix. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from anybody. So
what a long shot too.
yeah, like we'll just throw it out there. We'll see what happens.
And so what happens is you end up being interviewed. I mean, well, you end up in the job. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you land the interview, and
Yeah.
then what was that process like from Seattle? You just interview on like a Skype type of thing, or how'd that go?
Yeah, it was funny. That was like one of the few jobs that I actually heard back from. And weirdly enough, at the time, like I had gotten a few communications from other ones, but at the time there was only the job at Ping and just like one other one. So yeah, obviously like had that first round interview remotely, and that I guess went well enough. Then I talked to him. I was pretty honest. I was kind of jaded at that point, so I was pretty real with them, like we're being right now.
That's way to be. It's a risky place, but it's a good one.
Yeah. I was just like, you know what? If they don't accept me after this, then like whatever. It's just all the same to me. But the crew now I know is like pretty open to that kind of stuff, and so it went well enough for me to land a second round interview in person here in Phoenix. So I was excited for that, and I wanted to bring a lot of my like the stuff I had made to the interview. But it was a quick trip, and I didn't have a way to like carry all that stuff in my backpack. I had like my computer, and like I had like a sweatshirt in there, and I had like this bag of stuff. So I decided like I would bring a tote bag, but all my tote bags I have are those like cotton canvas screen printed ones you get from like Trader Joe's. I didn't want to fly in the airport with that. So I had this bright idea that like a couple days before the meeting, I would make a tote bag, and I would bring that down. And so it took up way too much of my time, but I ended up getting it out. And it was cool because when I was there in the interview, I was showing them the things that I had made my previous job, like in my off time. And then it was fun to, at the very end of that, toss the tote bag onto the table and say, hey, like I made this too. Like this is like this kind of pro thing that I made.
Yeah, that's rad. And then you're like, hey, I made this because I need a cool bag to fly down here with, and here it is.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited, and it ended up being a really good conversation piece in the interview. Talking, and it was a very good, like it kind of broke the tension. There wasn't really tension in the interview, but like you know how there is in those interviews where everybody's kind of like sitting there. It created a conversation, and it was
they gave them something to do, right? So they look at it and like start talking to you about the construction of it and all that.
Yeah, like prompted a lot of questions about like, well, why did you choose this stitch here? Like, why did you fold it this way? Like, what about this material was interesting to you? And you know, this is it was for a soft goods position, so obviously like these people know the soft goods industry, and so there's going to be questions about that. And it was really cool. It was a really cool experience.
Man,
and
sealed the deal with that. That's so cool. You still have the bag?
Yeah, I actually have it up on my wall right here. Let me grab it for you, and I'll show you what I got going on.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Pardon the dead space here, but yeah, it's this tote bag. I got it like branded with my my kind of like fake brand here, but
oh, nice.
Yeah, double sided. It's got this like kind of angular pocket with a bright colored inset, and then a zippered top. It's simple. It's a tote bag, but I was I don't know. I was really proud of it. I was proud of how it turned out and how I got to use it. So yeah, that was obviously they didn't give me the job on the spot, but I credit that with
that's gotta be a major factor, man. And you ended up there. What a cool story, and what an inspiring story for anybody who's going through it, and who's on the hunt and working to find hope and direction and like make it happen. I mean, this is this is proof. You did you pulled off the impossible, almost, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's very uncommon, dude. You're 1,200 miles away, and they hired you. Congrats
Yeah.
on that.
Thank you.
That's quite an achievement right there.
Yeah. Thank you. It certainly feels like one of my bigger accomplishments. And there's a lot to be said about what's that quote, like, uh, luck is where opportunity meets hard work or something like that. I don't know, but like,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, it felt like that. Like I had really worked a lot to get to that point where when the opportunity did present itself, I was ready to like kind of shoot my shot. And
Oh, congrats, man.
yeah, thank you. I mean, it could have gone any other way, but
Yeah.
so here we are.
And we are here, and we're down to my last question too. So this was only three. I only had three questions, man. And
Yeah.
and so the last thing I wanted to ask you about that I had in mind is like, what are you liking about the opportunity and the environment? Did you play golf before the job, or are you playing golf now? Like the opportunity, like the job opportunity itself, and then the environment that you're working in. Are you jiving with it?
Oh yeah, that's funny you bring that up. I didn't play golf before. Now I had played golf, but I had such low expectations of myself playing golf. I didn't really consider myself a golfer. So yeah, obviously the team was like, are you a golfer? And my response was just that I never had a bad day, and that was truthful. I really did not ever have a bad day golfing because I just had such low expectations. Golfing is really, it can be peaceful. You're out on the course. It's a nice day. Like I'm outside. This is great. But sorry, I'm blanking on your question here. Like, oh,
The question is like the environment, like so, like the work environment, right? Like, do you go play golf? Do you guys have like a league at Ping? I always imagine Ping to be a small office, but I think I'm wrong on that. But do you have do you guys get out there and play, and then how does that come into the work that you're doing with the design work that you do? And then how you liking the stuff that you're building? You building anything cool?
I would say we're always building something cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I think what we do is really fun. Yeah, we're definitely a golfing team. It's not like a requirement, but it's definitely like a bonding experience for all of us, to go out and test a bag, or like ask some questions about like, do we like that this pocket is here? Like, what's it doing? Is it doing what we want? And then kind of getting feedback from using stuff is it's a really good spot to be in. And that's definitely like what gets us going. So yeah, if we're not going out to a golf course, it's like, hanging out after work at the range for an hour or so and hitting some balls and just like kind of immersing yourself in the sport is what our team is kind of about. So that's really fun. And for me, not being a golfer, kind of getting up to speed on what that culture is like and what the sport is like has been really fun. So I'm not even gonna tell you what my handicap is right now because it's still pretty sad.
Yeah.
We're out there, we're having a good time, and yeah. As far as like the work environment, working at Ping is a fantastic company to work for. I feel like I definitely hit the jackpot.
Nice, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a really fantastic place to be, and it is a pretty big company. It's a lot bigger than most people think. We're sitting on like a 50-acre campus in Phoenix, which is a really, really big thing. But the way that Ping works, it's a company with a lot of like heritage, and so that heritage is built into like everything we do, and it's been such an opportunity to like become a part of that family. So I mean, I would highly encourage anybody to, like, if you see an open role and looks like you fit the bill, like Ping would be an awesome place to work.
Oh man, that's so cool. Do they do tours for people who like want to check out the product, like golf geeks? You guys like do you make prototypes on site and stuff too?
Well, I'll answer your tour question. They do public tours. So like if you're in Phoenix, you can sign up for tours. I think they tend to get booked up pretty quick. So like if you know you're going to come out, like, but the public tour is like a really fun thing to do. And like I just said, you can kind of, if they take you through the story of like how the founder Karsten Solheim like developed the first putter, and like all of that is like woven into how things are made today here in Phoenix. So yeah, obviously we do a lot of, I want to be careful what I say. Yeah, a lot of experimentation can be done here. A lot of
Cool.
yeah, it's just like
It's
it's
a, it's
design.
it's
It's
like it's
design,
a
right?
I get the answer. It's like maybe we do, maybe we don't. No comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any design office you go into, right? Like it's kind of like there's that like messy design process that happens before something kind of pops out the other side, right? So like whether it's paper or cardboard or fabric or anything that anybody's making anything out of, like it's just like that chaos, and then boom, there's something there. So it's yeah, it's super super.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for making time today, Kyle. It's been a really fun conversation. I'm sure that a lot of people will gain a lot of inspiring motivation from our chat. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
it, and can't wait to get a visit on that tour and then see your products hit the market.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Chad. This has been fantastic.
Alrighty, man. Well, have yourself a great day.
Thanks. You too.